Hi, everyone. I'm just going to give everything a quick sec, let a few people jump on, and then I am going to call Jen from AZ Patriots. We're going to play 20 questions with Jen. She already knows what the questions are. And I already have the answers, but that's no fun, right? I have to let you guys hear it live, right? So, in just a quick sec here, I'm going to give a call to Jen. And hey, CBD Dave, or CB Dave. Yeah. Hey, Dorinda. Hi, Donald. Hi, Eldon. Hi, Rocky. Hi, El Rayo. How are you guys doing tonight? Hi, Shane. El Paso, Texas here. All right. XT says, love your work. Thank you. Hi, Felicia. Hi, Janet. You guys ready to hear Jen from AZ Patriots? Yes. Okay, just so you guys know, remember when I'm asking these questions and I'm listening and we're doing this live stream, it's really hard for me to see everything that you guys are saying. For anybody who happens to do a super chat during this, I'm not going to be able to acknowledge it until the end. And thank you, just because I don't want to interrupt Jen. I want to thank everybody, though, for being here tonight. I think this is exciting. One thing I wanted to do while I wasn't at work this whole week is get some people on the show, because why not? That's fun, right? Just so you guys know, on Friday, 2 o'clock Pacific time, I'm going to have Paloma for Trump. Yes, I got Paloma. I'm so glad. So, I know that's kind of in the middle of the day, so for some of you guys, but you can always go back and watch the replay later in the evening. So I am going to go ahead without further ado and give Miss Jen a phone call. She's expecting my call. Give me just a sec here. Here we go. Ah.
Hello, this is Jennifer.
Hi, Jen. It's Laura from Atomic News.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm a little better, thank you. I've got this kind of itchy cough still going on, but I don't know if it's just border dust or if I picked something up. I don't feel like terrible. I just,
Yeah. Well, not only do you have to deal with all that dust out there, but you have to deal with any cooties that might be in the air from all the migrants.
Right. Especially since, we try to interview them, so we're like face to face with them.
You almost need a hazmat suit, huh?
Yeah. I definitely need to start wearing a face mask, though.
For sure. Even, simply picking things up off the ground can be dangerous, because you never know, like, what they've touched, like, fentanyl, for God's sake. One wrong touch of fentanyl and then everybody's screwed, right? Right. Definitely dangerous what you do on the border there. So I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. I've been watching you guys for a long time now, and and I figured, this week while I was packing up my house and getting ready to move home to Arizona, I wasn't working, so I'd have some fun and reach out to a few other Patriots and just talk to everybody, because, we should all be kind of working together. We all have the same mission.
Right.
So I know my viewers, watch your videos all the time, so I think it would be great for them to hear what you have to say. So I know
Awesome.
I know you already know the questions, but they don't know what the questions are. But I guess we can just go ahead and start, and you just answer away. On my channel, it's really laid back. You can say it the way it is. No fear. Just be you.
Okay. And can you hear me okay? Because I got you on the Bluetooth.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you okay right now.
Do you want me, like, if I switch it over to phone, is that better?
I can hear you better now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. So the first question that I had for you was, what kind of triggered you to make you decide to get involved with immigration and, kind of be a border activist?
Well, I saw on the news a few years ago there was a story of a man a sergeant and a police officer who was struck and killed in his vehicle on the highway here in Arizona, and it was a wrong way driver crash. And so at the time we had a lot of wrong way driver stuff going on, so it was kind of a big story. And then his mother came out a short time afterwards because we learned that he was struck by a twice deported illegal alien who was 3 times the legal limit drunk and high on methamphetamine when he killed her son. And so just listening to her speak, it struck a chord with me, and I'm like, I have to meet this woman. And so I did. Her name is Marianne Mendoza, and she now runs Angel Families, which is a group of parents who have lost their children to illegal aliens. And so right then I knew I have to stand up and fight. Somebody has to stand behind these families, and it just totally hit home for me.
Wow. That's definitely something that would trigger a lot of people, especially someone who is a mom like you or I. That would really hit home with us.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that for the last about 8 weeks, you have been down on the border in Yuma, and Yuma's kind of been your focus right now. What kind of made you choose that area versus like the Sierra Vista side of the state?
Well, what first got my attention was noticing these DHS buses show up in Phoenix and unload a bus full of migrants. Mm-hmm. And so local media is telling us these are the legal asylum seekers, that they've been granted asylum, and that we're taking them in because they are running for their lives and fleeing persecution, and that they've been fully vetted and they're being released because they have gone through the process. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, where did these people come from, for one? And so I kind of started tracing the buses. So I literally followed the bus mm-hmm. out of Phoenix and straight into Yuma. And then so I kind of staked out the Yuma border patrol sector station, mm-hmm. and I saw like van after van come in from the border, picking up people that illegally crossed, mm-hmm. and then a few hours later the bus would get loaded up and the bus would drive into Phoenix and unload these people. So that's kind of where it all started for me.
Okay. Now, when you started covering the border and kind of like, basically immigration in general, did you think that it would go this far? Like, did you ever foresee yourself doing this?
No. At first it was just like a fact-finding mission of, uh-huh. Where these people on these buses were coming from. And then once I found that out, then I'm like, okay, let's take it back a step further and let's find them as they're crossing and try to talk to them and get the truth. Mm-hmm. And let's see for ourselves, like, what the reasons for them coming here are and how they're getting in the country.
Okay. Right. So I know a lot of my viewers have been watching your videos for a long time, but I do have quite a few new subscribers that don't know anything about Magdalena and how she's connected to Arizona churches and the buses. Can you explain to those new people who Magdalena is and how that all connects to each other?
Yes, so Magdalena Schwartz is a newly appointed U.S. citizen. So she was just sworn in as a U.S. citizen about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And she is coordinating with ICE with the public affairs officer from ICE and the consulate of Guatemala, and together the three of them are able to coordinate the bus drops. So she runs a string of churches here in Arizona, and so when the buses are coming from ICE and they're going to be dispersing the people to the churches, Magdalena is there for all of them. So she will direct ICE on which churches are able to take the people.
Don't you think that's a little fishy? Just newly a U.S. citizen and kind of being the ringleader of all that?
Absolutely, and to be a new citizen and have the consulate of Guatemala and the director of ICE in your pocket is a little fishy to me.
It's almost like she was specifically placed for this.
Right.
Well, now that you've been down there for about 8 weeks, how many countries have you seen migrants come from through the Yuma area?
We've seen Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Cuba, Mexico, and there's one other. Panama.
Okay. That's the first I've heard of Panama. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because, they do like to rip up their documents, their identification, before they present themselves to Border Patrol. So we're able to find their birth certificates and photo IDs and asylum paperwork that they've already been granted asylum in Mexico.
Yeah, why do you think they do that? Like, you'd think that they'd want their documents. Like, what do you think the thought process is behind that?
Either they have crossed before and they've been deported, so they don't want Border Patrol to know their identity. If they're Mexican, so if you are caught illegally entering the country from Mexico, we have an automatic right to deport you.
Okay.
If you are entering the country from Guatemala, Honduras, we actually have to keep you until your home country will take you back.
Oh, okay.
So we're stuck with these people. So that's why a lot of times the Mexicans that cross over with the groups of Guatemalans, the Mexicans will discard their birth certificates or their identification because they know they'll be sent right back to Mexico.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes complete sense, because I know a lot of the people that watch the videos, they'll ask questions in the comment section, and that was actually one of the questions is well, why would they give up their documents? But that makes sense. That makes sense.
Right.
So when they cross, when you see these groups crossing over, what do they look like to you? Like, what does the typical group look like?
Well, they are clean, well-groomed. They have haircuts, fresh haircuts, hairstyled, clean clothes, new backpacks. Every male has a child, one child, and a lot of times the men are holding on to these children aggressively or unnaturally in a way that a father would not hold on to a child, or they're trying too hard to make it look like they're doing the things that a father would normally do with a child. So, for example, we've seen that when we put a camera in their face, they're, wiping the baby's mouth and looking at you to make sure you're seeing them, or bouncing the baby and kissing the baby on the cheek. And it's just very awkward and unnatural. Okay. Nobody has luggage.
Okay, yeah.
So the only thing we've seen is a backpack.
Okay.
And again, they're brand new backpacks.
Okay.
So
yeah,
they're coming from somewhere.
The whole backpack thing is like from the first caravan. They've all had backpacks, but in New Mexico, like, I don't know if you know that I'm part of Guardian Patriots in New Mexico, but they get Brazilians, a lot of Brazilians, and they will literally lug their wheelie luggage behind them in tow. Like sometimes
Huh.
one or two pieces of luggage.
Wow.
They will take an airplane to the closest airport to the border. Then they'll take a taxi or, whoever they can get to give them a ride with their luggage in hand and literally roll their luggage over the border and hand it to Border Patrol
Wow.
and have Border Patrol put it in the truck for them.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I was really curious if you had seen any luggage. And I think it's
Well, no, but
interesting.
we have seen airline tickets.
Okay.
So airline tickets coming from southern Mexico or Central America up towards northern Mexico, right below Arizona.
Okay. So I think it's really interesting that you haven't seen any Brazilians with luggage. I wonder why they're choosing New Mexico versus Arizona,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I know you kind of touched on this briefly in an earlier sentence, but you and I are both moms. What other actions have you seen other than that awkwardness between adults and children that kind of lead you to the thought that maybe a child is being trafficked?
Well, we find a lot of medications, so like Dramamine, Benadryl, children's medication. It's almost always chewable or liquid with medicine cups, the medicine giver cups that you would give a toddler to drink of medication. This weekend we found a bag with children's clothes, a child's hair barrette, condoms, lubrication, and Dramamine all together.
Whoa.
So, there's a lot of children that we see that just look comatose. The children are not crying, screaming, moving, running around like a child would do.
So almost like they've been sedated.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that would make the whole travel, a lot easier on their part. Then I guess that makes sense. But yeah, definitely.
Well, and also if they're questioned at Border Patrol, is this your father?
They're too sleepy to kind of really do anything.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So pants. Like every time I think of pants now, I have to laugh. So, can you explain to my viewers about pants?
There are a few points of entry along that sector of border in Yuma. One is the dam, one is the river, and the third we've now pinpointed and labeled as the pants because they come over, they cross the river, and now mind you, the river is the border. So as soon as they step foot on the other side, they are in America. So their pants are wet from like the knees down. So they change their pants there, and they just leave their pants literally all over the place. There's pants for as far as the eye can see. There must be, 1,000 pairs of pants out there. And they're all designer pants too. Guess, Hilfiger, Levi, Wrangler, DKNY, Dickies. Like they're all name brand pants.
That's crazy. What other items do you find in the desert? Like what's, I don't know, besides clothing or medications, like is there?
Yeah, we find phones. So the smuggler will give them a phone. So that's kind of a piece that I'm still trying to put together. So right when they're crossing, the smuggler's on the other side of the river walking them down to the crossing point, and he gives them a phone. He gives them like one of those burner phones, like the prepaid phones. You can buy them at Walmart and just put minutes on it. And it has the little card that you put in it. So we find tons of those. So from the time they are on the Mexico side to the time they present themselves to Border Patrol, there's a call made. I don't know if it's back to the smuggler to say, yes, we made it through okay. I don't know if it's to their family. I don't know, but they make the call and then they discard the phone. So we found that. We found jewelry, of course, the birth certificates, the identifications, wallets, condoms, lubrication, medication, tons of clothes, backpacks. Yeah, just some, they just dump everything out of their pockets. Phone chargers, headphones, you name it, it's out there.
Have any of those cell phones ever turned on?
Oi, maxi pads. Oh. OMG, there are maxi pads. There's as many maxi pads as there are pants.
Oh my God.
These women come across and change their maxi pad and just leave it there on the ground.
That's crazy. I would assume you'd probably find a lot of dirty diapers too.
Actually, no.
Really?
Oddly enough, no. Just the maxi pads, the undies, that sort of thing.
Oh, nasty. And what's crazy is when you, like, I knew when I moved from Arizona way back, 5 years ago, that the desert was a mess down there. I can only imagine what a disaster zone it is now. And I think it's interesting that in New Mexico, I mean, they do have canals and rivers that they can cross, not, quite the same, but they don't have a pants problem there.
Right. I know. It's weird.
Go figure that one, huh?
Weird, yeah.
So, I know that you did do something with a bag of those clothing items. Can you tell everybody what you decided to do?
Yes, so there are several organizations here in the Valley that are pandering for donations for these poor, suffering migrants. And so I decided to bag up their belongings, their pants, their belts, their shoes, their bras, their toothbrushes, their maxi pads, and all of it. And I actually brought it to the migrant shelter that's housing them and asking for the community to donate. So I brought them their things back.
Oh God, that's brilliant.
Well, we know it fits them, right?
Right? They just forgot it in the desert. You were just being helpful. You were just being helpful.
Right.
Oh, that was great. So I know, like, one of the things that you do in the desert is you'll try and sometimes ask them questions. And I know it's been difficult because you're not fluent in Spanish, but when you're like out there and trying to talk to them, or I know you'll yell things at them and call them frauds and whatnot. How do they react to you, just out of curiosity?
They're very scripted on what to say, first of all. So, in the times that we have had fluent translators with us, we've been able to ask them, like, how did you know to cross here? And how much did you pay the smuggler? And they're very scripted on what they'll tell you. So none of them have coughed up that information. And, they just all have the same answer. They were walking down the highway, and they just, fell into America. So it's all baloney. We know that we see them get out of the smugglers' vehicles. And when you try to talk to them, you try to tell them to stop, they can't cross there, and they just barrel right through you. They have no respect for our country, our citizens, our land. It's infuriating. And, there's times where I let my emotions, get the best of me sometimes, and I'll call them criminals, or, tell them to get out, fuera, and they just walk right past you. They don't care. They have no respect. They don't care.
Did the kids ever react to any of that, or are they just still, like, completely expressionless?
Yeah, I mean, some of the kids, the older kids, you can tell they're happy to be in America. And it's sad, it's really sad, because they could come the right way.
Right.
And they would be welcomed with open arms by the American people.
Right.
But they're not. They're cheating, and they're taking what other people have to work and wait for.
Right, exactly. Have you ever seen on the other side, have you ever seen any Mexican police or military or like Mexican citizens that are armed?
We've not seen any federales or military. We've seen local Mexican police will patrol that area maybe once a day,
Mm-hmm.
twice a day. There's a ranch house on the other side, and they have parties there, and they shoot off their guns in the middle of the night. That's really it. There's a couple of like Mexican vagrants
Okay.
that will come up to the river and kind of scavenge around for anything that the migrants have left behind. Because, we have also found pesos out there too. So, they come and just collect the pants.
The pants.
Whatever they can take back to Mexico and sell or keep or use. So.
So I know on the New Mexico border, they have a lot of drones that come from the Mexican side, and they've caught the drones pretty much leading the migrants across the border in the middle of the night. They basically tell the migrants,
Wow.
follow the lights of the drone, and that's how they get through the desert in the darkness. Have you seen any drones there?
No, they don't have drones.
Okay.
On the Yuma side.
Okay.
We have drones.
You have drones, yeah.
It's really, it's when they're dropped off at the highway, it is such a short walk down to the river and into America. Like there's no need to be guided. You just walk straight for maybe 100 yards and you're in.
Okay. All right. Now, one thing that I noticed when they have them all lined up on that footbridge, I've heard you mention on camera, watch they're tossing something into the canal. What is it that you think that they're throwing into the canal so that Border Patrol doesn't see?
Yeah, we witnessed one man who had the little baby, and the baby must have been maybe 6 months old, and we caught, because I saw him, and I usually have a really good radar for, people acting suspicious or something that's just out of place or doesn't seem right. So I usually will zoom in my camera on them, and he was the one that was very nervous with the baby, and he was fidgeting with his pockets, and we saw him throw something in the canal, and after Border Patrol took them off, we went and checked the canal, and it was all the medication.
Okay. Wow.
And then I had Ben Berkwam here with me this weekend, and we had a group that we encountered at the river at dark, and that was really the only time I really felt nervous doing this, because they literally came out of nowhere. We weren't even looking for them. We were just kind of going on a little stroll, and they popped out, startled us, and when we told them to step back, they just kept coming at us. I had to raise my voice a little, and that was really the only time I felt uneasy, because there was no Border Patrol around. It's pitch dark, and I have a group of like 60 people coming towards me, and there was a group of like 4 men in that group that were very suspicious, and they were, passing stuff back and forth to each other, putting it in their pockets, and we think it may have been drugs.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because then I thought about this afterwards, and I thought, okay, when they come through, they could just drop whatever they have, before they present themselves to Border Patrol, and if they have anybody on the U.S. side working with them that can, just drive by and swoop up whatever they drop.
Yeah, good point. True. Very true. They just have to leave it in the desert and tell somebody where it is. Good point.
Exactly. So I don't trust any of them.
I wouldn't either. I don't blame you. So I'm a little curious about Arizona right now, because it's been 5 years since I've lived there. Do you see any of this reported on the local Arizona news? And if so, what do you see? All
of the Arizona local media is very complacent in what they report and what they tell the people of Arizona. They have come at it more from the poor suffering migrants standpoint rather than an invasion of our state.
Right.
And they've never reported on the crimes or the drugs or the bad guys that are coming through that Border Patrol is catching.
Right.
Or the effects that this has on our communities, on our schools, or our resources.
Mm-hmm.
There's been one news anchor from Fox 10 that actually went down to that river spot and kind of did a little segment on it, but he didn't stick around long enough to see anything.
Right. You kind of have to spend like a whole day there at least, to get a feel for what's going on there. Just a photo op, selfie, shoot 15 minutes isn't going to do squat.
Right, exactly. And that's what's frustrating about like our local politicians or local media. They're going to the ports of entry in their Sunday best and doing interviews at a podium. It's not showing us what's really going on.
Right. Oh, that's really disappointing. I have a feeling I'm coming back to a whole nother world. What's the feel of like the community there in regards to immigration? Like when you just are out and about, going to the grocery store, talking to people, what's the feel? Like how are they reacting?
I mean, I'm more in the suburbs. I live in the suburbs, so I'm in a conservative district, thank God. And so, like, my neighbors and my community, we are all, for legal immigration. And then you have Phoenix, which has turned super liberal in the last, 5-10 years, that our city council has been taken over by sympathizers and hardcore leftists. And there's a lot of illegal alien advocacy groups that are protesting and rallying for the illegal aliens.
Wow. I'm not going to be happy about that when I see that. That's for sure.
Right.
So when I left, Joe Arpaio was the sheriff, and I know he's not anymore. What do you think about this new sheriff, and what is he doing about all this, if anything?
Well, I mean, Paul Penzone is a liberal. He's a Democrat.
Right.
And, he really hasn't taken a hard stance on the issue. We have other sheriffs in other counties that are just badass. Like Sheriff Mark Lamb is, we need a Mark Lamb in every county.
Yes.
He is a patriot, true and true. And so Penzone, a lot of the illegal alien advocacy groups have been meeting with him to build bridges and mend relationships with the communities, and he just panders to them. Wow. But he has stayed firm in his stance that he will not remove ICE from the 4th Avenue jail. So if an illegal alien is arrested and in the jail and they have a pending order for deportation or whatever, he will hold them there until ICE can pick them up. So that's good.
Okay, good. That's good to know. So I kind of always was pro tent city, and it's disappointing that we're not putting those tents to good use. Do you think we should use those tents for the migrants?
Absolutely. We could have tents along that border. We could have asylum hearing judges along the border. There's so much that we could be doing to take more of a offensive approach rather than a defensive approach, right? We could be more proactive in stopping them from coming, for one, and that's all border sector chief operational commands, right? So the border sector chief is the one that gives his agents the commands. We could have agents on that front line, on the river's edge, patrolling on foot, on horseback, by quad, rather than hanging back in their vehicles waiting for the migrants to approach them. Right. So there's a great deal of things that we could be doing that we just aren't.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we need to have a fundraiser and load those tents onto a truck and have them hauled down to the border.
Right, exactly. And I even told Border Patrol, like, I would volunteer to give them free rides back to Mexico, but nobody's taken me up on my offer.
Well, speaking of Border Patrol, what do you think, like, the morale is for Border Patrol in the Yuma area, and how are they reacting to your presence when you're down in Yuma?
Well, like the first time we were there, we had one of our guys was on the Mexico side,
Mm-hmm.
and we were on the U.S. side. It was the first time we had come, and so he was kind of guiding us on. He was watching the drop-offs from the Mexico side, and he would tell us where they would be coming out from.
Oh.
And so Border Patrol did not want us down by the river, and so they did everything they could to keep us away. Then the next time we came, our friend came with us on the U.S. side, and he's like, no. We have a right to be wherever we want to be. It's public land,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't do anything to stop us. So then they were like, okay, we know what these guys are about. We know what they're doing here. At first, they were like, okay, who are these armed people, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I get that, right? Like they need to make sure that they're safe too, because like they told us that there are groups that are against the Border Patrol that do come down there and give them a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they just needed to know that, hey, we're on your side here. I think it's kind of 50-50. There's a few that are sympathizers with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they get mad if I talk to them or I yell at them or I do anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. I've had one Border Patrol agent tell me, get out of their way, let them cross. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Was that female? Was she female?
Yes.
Okay, I think I know which one. I remember seeing her say that to you.
Yeah, and so
I
the
was
first time I
floored.
told them, that they didn't belong here, and she told me to knock it off, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
will not knock it off. So yeah, I mean, it's 50-50. Then you have other agents that don't mind that you're right there shoulder to shoulder with them while they're processing them, and we're able to film and ask questions and really be involved with the whole process, where you have other agents that want us as far back as possible. They'll even go as far as to pull their vehicles right in front of the migrants so you can't see what's going on. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of 50-50. And now Yuma is the third busiest crossing right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it is the second most understaffed. So I don't think agents signed up to be babysitters for third world migrants.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, a Border Patrol agent's job is to protect and secure the border, and that's not what's happening. So
Right.
I think morale's down. I think that, they're doing jobs that they shouldn't really be doing.
Yes, definitely. They were definitely not hired to be Uber drivers, that's for sure.
Right. Right.
So, taking it more to like on a country level, what are your thoughts about shutting down the border? Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, at first I was against it because, we have friends in Mexico, and we've seen, just the amount of people, the sheer amount of people that cross every day for commerce, right? So they
Mhm.
either work in Mexico and they live in U.S. or vice versa, right? They live in Mexico and they cross over and work in the United States, and then they go home at the end of the day.
Right.
Like that would affect millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, we totally lost control of this border. What other choice do we have? We can't continue at this rate.
It's almost like we need to shut down and reboot, huh?
Exactly. Nobody else is coming in until we can figure out how to fix this.
Right, right. That makes absolute sense. Do you think that we basically have open borders right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because only 6% of these people being apprehended are actually claiming asylum. That means 94% are just illegally crossing, and we're letting in and releasing. That is insane.
Yeah, it is insane.
Only 6% are actually claiming asylum. Now, every apprehension we've watched, nobody said a thing about asylum. They just show their paperwork, and they're picked up, And now Border Patrol Station is not a detention center. Arizona has no family detention.
Right.
So that's why they're bombarding Arizona with these kids, because they have this kid, they're automatically being released.
This just blows my mind. And, you know, going back to the whole asylum thing, you know, I know in the beginning with like the first caravan, that was a thing. As soon as they came over, they would cry asylum. But now it's just like they expect they expect their entrance.
Absolutely. Yep. There was one group that was caught coming through the dam, and her excuse was, "I have family in Phoenix. I need a ride to Phoenix."
Entitled.
Right?
Entitled, huh?
Yeah. So that's how they're coming through now.
It's disgusting. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you after everything that you've seen, do you think that as a country we can come back from this ever? Do you think there's a few like
the only way I see us coming back from this is if we immediately start deporting everybody that's come in.
I agree.
I mean, we have upwards of 30 million already living here illegally. And that statistic was done so long ago that I honestly think it's way worse than that. Then you have the million that have come through this year alone.
Right.
That we're on par to receive 1 million. That, you know, in the next few years, we will be the United States of Guatemala.
Yeah,
if we do not get a grip of this, it's eventually going to be press 2 for English.
Yeah, exactly. We can't sustain this. There's no way that we can sustain this. We're a sinking ship right now.
Yep.
So I have 2 last questions for you, and then I know you're a busy girl, so
okay.
In talking about immigration and the border, I'm sure that you have a lot of people who are negative, who are trolls, liberals. Like, how do you handle them without like losing your mind?
I just have to brush them off. I try to educate people, but if people are so close-minded that they just want to call me a racist, you know, whatever. You know, it doesn't bother me anymore. At first I used to try to defend that position, but you know, it's not even worth it anymore.
Can see. No. Hold on. Well, it looks like it's updating. Like the feed is still. Can anybody see me right now? Okay, you can see me, TKO? All right. You guys, we have a summer storm that's coming through. Okay, internet's back. We blew out the internet. Okay. Hold on. I think this is her calling back. Hold on. Is that you, Jen?
Yeah, I lost you.
I know. It was my end. We have a summer storm that's coming through. Of course, it's nothing like monsoons in Arizona, but it blew out the internet for a sec, and my husband had to run and reconnect everything.
Oh no. Okay.
But everybody's still here. They all hung out on the live stream. So
okay.
So I think I lost you at God, where did I lose you?
The last question.
Yeah, I have one more question.
Yeah, 2 more. So.
The last question I had for you was if you had one message for my viewers on this whole thing about the border, whether it be like a statement or advice or something in regards to this, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, follow our page, AZ Patriots. We're on Facebook and on Twitter at AZ_Patriots, and we have to educate people.
Yes.
So, like I said, there was a recent poll, and only 2 out of 15 Americans are aware of the truth of what was happening on the border. So it is our responsibility, right, as citizens who want to protect our country, to educate our neighbors, our friends, our people at church, wherever we can, and we have to be calling the White House, writing letters to the president, writing letters, emails, sending phone calls to Congress, to our local government. We have to stand up and fight, guys. We are in the fight of our lives.
1 week from now, and I'll be on the road. So. Okay, is everybody still with me? Let me know that you're still there.
Come on.
Through it's knocking out our internet here in Illinois. Okay, hi TKO, thank you. Okay, sorry you guys about the live feed. I'm glad it happened towards the end. Though, you know, Arizona gets monsoons, and if you've never seen an Arizona monsoon, it's like the apocalypse. When the dust walls come in, we don't get anything like that, but we get wind and rain, and it was just like a year ago, almost to the month, where our entire basement flooded and my house was in the middle of a flash flood. Like literally the flash flood went around both sides of my house. So things happen here. Tornadoes happen. Not really in this particular, you know, area, Rockford, but this country's having some crazy weather right now. And it just happened to hit at the end of my live stream. It's a bummer that it didn't hold out into the end, that I lost Jen there at the end. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really enjoyed talking to her. I think she had some really good answers to the questions. I think she's very knowledgeable about what's going on the border and what's going on in Arizona. I look forward to seeing more from AZ Patriots and seeing what they do in Yuma in the next few weeks, and all the adventures they go on, and what else they find, you know, besides pants. I'm sure they're going to run into a whole bunch more interesting things on that border. I look so forward to being in Arizona and bringing you guys some of this information myself, because I know this is long awaited. You guys have been waiting for this for since I started my channel, practically, for me to get to the border. I don't know what part of the border Mr. Atomic and I are going to go to. I don't know. We may go to the Sierra Vista side. We may pop into Yuma and say hi to AZ Patriots and say, hey, how you guys doing? You know, who knows? We can do and go wherever we want. And it's going to be exciting. So thank you again to Jen for being on the live stream tonight. You guys make sure you go check out AZ Patriots. They are on Facebook, and I do think they started a YouTube channel now. I didn't catch that part just because the internet was going in and out while we were trying to when we were talking then, but I'm pretty sure they do. And then you guys make sure you tune into my live stream if you can on Friday, because I'm going to have Paloma for Trump. Yes, the Paloma. It's going to be 2 p.m. Pacific time. So what is that, 2-hour difference from here? Or 3-hour difference? Something like that. I don't know. I'll figure that out. I'll be counting in my head. No, but keep an eye on the community section. And my dog wants to say hi. Hi, this is Ragnar. It's Ragnar. I know you want to be in the live stream, honey. Watch the community section and keep an eye on the community section, because that's where I'll announce things. Like, for instance, this interview was supposed to be yesterday, but Jen just felt, you know, not well, you know, all that desert dust and everything, and so we postponed it to today. So if things like that happen, I'll announce it in the community section on YouTube. So make sure you guys watch that. And then God, who was it earlier that super chatted? El Rayo, I want to say. Hold on, let me go back. I want to thank you for that. Hold up. Yeah, I think it was El Rayo. Thank you for your $10 super chat. I appreciate the support of my channel. You guys, and if you ever want to support the channel, you guys, whenever I do a live stream, you can always do a super chat like that, or I have a link in the description box to my PayPal. You're always welcome to do that. And of course, if you can't, I still love you, and you're still welcome here, as always. So, you guys have a good